Chapter 9. What is the Gnan Vidhi?
What is the Gnan Vidhi? That is scientific process to impart self-realization.
The Gnan Vidhi is the process that separates the soul, self, from the non-self complex, Pudgal. It is the separation of the pure soul, Shuddha Chetan, and the non-self complex, Pudgal.
This principle is correct. But what is the procedure?
There is nothing to be given here. One simply has to sit and repeat what I say, exactly as it is being spoken. The awareness of who am I is attained after a 2-hour process, of which 48 minutes consist of speaking out sentences of science of separation, Bhed Vignan, which separate the self and the non-self. After that, there is a period of 1 hour where you will be explained the 5 ajnas, instructions, with examples to illustrate and clarify them. You will be shown how to conduct your life so that new karma do not get charged. You will then know how you can dissipate your past karma smoothly. The awareness that you are pure soul will remain constantly.
Chapter 10. What happens in the Gnan Vidhi?
Along with the destruction of the demerit karma of countless past lives in the Gnan Vidhi, many of the layers of ignorance over the soul, avarans, are broken down. At that time, through divine grace, one becomes aware of the self. Once awakened, the awareness never leaves. The conviction, pratiti, that I am pure self, will always be there, along with the awareness, laksh. The experience of the self is the destruction of the experience that I am the body. When the experience that I am this body goes, new karma cease to bind you. First comes the freedom from ignorance, then comes the final liberation after a couple of lifetimes.
Karma get destroyed in the fire of knowledge.
What happens when you receive this Gnan, self-knowledge? During the Gnan Vidhi, the fire of knowledge, Gnan Agni, destroys 2 of the 3 forms of karma. The 3 forms of karma are analogous to steam, water, and ice. During the Gnan Vidhi, the first 2 types of karma, steam and water, are destroyed, and one feels light and one's awareness is increased. The only karma that remain are those in the form of ice. This is because they have solidified and are at the point of their fruition. You cannot escape them. The karma in the form of steam and water will evaporate in the fire of knowledge. This will make you feel light and your awareness will increase. Until one's karma are destroyed, one's awareness will not increase. Only the karma that have solidified will have to be suffered. To make this solidified karma easier to suffer, I have shown you all the ways. Repeat Dada Bhagwan na Asim Jai Jaikar ho. Say the 3 mantra and the 9 deep inner intents, Navkalmo, etc. Indifference towards worldly pain, dukh, is the first experience of liberation. You experience it from the day after I give you Gnan. The second experience is when the burden of this body, of karma, breaks away. Then there is so much bliss, Anand, that it is indescribable.
The Gnan we receive from you, is it knowledge of the self? That is Atmagnan?
What you receive is not the knowledge of the self, Atmagnan. What manifests within is the knowledge of the self, Atmagnan. When you repeat what I ask you to, your demerit karma, pap, get destroyed, and Gnan manifests within. That has manifested in you, has it not?
Yes, it has.
Do you think it is easy to realize the self? The demerit karma get destroyed in the fire of knowledge, Jnanagni. What else happens? The soul and the body get separated. The third thing that happens is the grace of God is received. Therefore, continuous awakened awareness, Jagruti, is established. The liberating energy of the self that is awakened, Prajna, leads one to ultimate liberation.
From the 2nd day of the lunar fortnight to the full moon.
Since time immemorial, Anadikal, That is, for hundreds of thousands of lives, people have been living in this no moon, amas. Do you understand what no moon is? It means no moon. Everyone has been living in darkness since time immemorial. They have not seen the light at all. They have not seen the moon. So when we give the Gnan, the moon appears. The first light is like that of the second day in the lunar fortnight, and that occurs when the complete Gnan is given. How much? Only as much as it is like during the second day in the lunar fortnight. Then we should try to reach the full moon in this life. Then the second would turn into third, then the fourth, then fifth, and when it reaches full moon, it will be complete. Thus, the absolute knowledge, Keval Gnan, has occurred. No new karma would be bound, and the binding of karma would cease. Anger, pride, deceit, greed would not be there. The previous belief of really being Chandubai, that is mind, body, speech, complex, was itself a delusion. The delusion that really I am Chandubai is gone. Now remain in the Agnyas, directives, principles that preserve and sustain the state of the self given to you. If you come in the Gnanvidhi here, I will wash all your demerit karma. Then you will be able to see your own faults. When you can see your faults, you will know that you are getting ready to go to ultimate liberation.
Chapter 11. Importance of following the Agnas after the Gnan Vidhi. Agnas for the protection of Gnan.
After this Gnan, you experience the soul. What else is left for you to do? All you need to do is to follow the Agnyas, supreme directives of the Gnani Purush. These Agnyas become your religion. These Agnyas represent your penance. My Agnyas are such that they never interfere or become restrictive in any matters related to the worldly life. Although you may continue to live in the worldly life, nothing of the worldly life will affect you. Such is the glory of the Akram Vignan. This time period is such that there is bad company, kusang, everywhere, starting from the kitchen to the office, in the home, on the road, outside, in the car, in the train. Everywhere there is nothing but that which takes you away from the self, kusang. This Gnan that has been given to you in 2 hours can be devoured by bad company, kusang, which exists everywhere. So for that, the protective fence of the 5 Agnyas has been given to you. And so, if you remain within the protection, not even an iota of change will take place in the state of the self within. That Gnan will remain the same as when it was given to you. If the fence is broken, then the Gnan will be destroyed. I have given you the Gnan and also the knowledge that has separated the self from the non-self, Bhed Gnan. However, for it to stay separated, I have given you the 5 sentences in the form of Agnyas for protection from the Kali Yuga, current era of the time cycle characterized by lack of unity in thought, speech and acts, and its people. Do we not have to water the seed of knowledge, Bodh Beach, as it grows? Do we not have to put a fence around it?
What spiritual practices should one perform after the Gnan?
After this Gnan, what type of spiritual practices, that is sadhana, should we perform?
For the spiritual practices, sadhana, all you have to do is follow the 5 Agnyas. Now, there are no other spiritual practices to be performed. Other spiritual practices, sadhana, will result in bondage, while these 5 Agnyas will result in freedom.
Is there anything higher above the 5 Agnas?
You have a fence of Agnyas so that no one will rob you from your treasure. If you keep the fence, then what I have given you within will remain as it is. But if the fence becomes loose, then someone will break in and spoil things. Then I will have to come back to repair it. Therefore, I guarantee a continuous blissful state, samadhi, if one stays in the 5 Agnyas.
Faster progress through Agnas.
What does a Mahatma's speed of progress depend on after attaining Gnan? What can he do to speed up his progress?
Everything is fast if one follows the 5 Agnyas, and the 5 Agnyas are the very reason. As you live in the 5 Agnyas, the veil of ignorance begins to break, and the energies manifest. The energies that have been covered will begin to uncover. Godliness, Aishwarya, manifests by following the Agnyas. All kinds of energies manifest. It all depends on how much one follows the Agnyas. To remain sincere to our Agnyas is the most important quality. The one who does not use his intellect becomes abudh through the Agnyas, becomes like me, right? But only as long as he nurtures the Agnyas and that no changes are made in the Agnyas, then there will be no problems.
Unflinching decision makes you follow Agnas.
The greatest thing of all is to decide to follow Dada's Agnyas. You should decide to do that. Do not concern yourself about whether you are able to do so or not. However much you are able to follow them, that much is correct and exact. At least be determined to follow them.
So if they are not followed fully, is it acceptable?
No, not quite. You should be firm in your determination that you want to follow the Agnyas. From the time you wake up, decide, I want to stay in and follow the Agnyas. This decision will keep you in the Agnyas, and that is all I want. Do pratikraman, the process of recalling, repenting, and asking for forgiveness, with the avowal to not repeat the act of aggression through thoughts, speech, or action. If you forget to follow the Agnyas by saying, Dada Bhagwan, addressing the fully manifest self in Dada Shri and the awakened one within the self-realized person, please forgive me. I forgot to follow the Agnyas for these 2 hours. I do want to follow your Agnyas. Please forgive me. Through pratikraman, you will be relieved of your responsibility. Once enclosed in the protective sphere of the Agnyas, nothing in the world will bother you.
Real progress towards the self begins with the following the Agnas.
When I gave you Gnan, you, the self, became separate from the non-self, Prakriti. I am Shuddhatma, is the self, Purush, and following the 5 Agnyas after that is real Purusharth.
Please explain the difference between the real spiritual effort and the relative spiritual effort, Purusharth.
In real Purusharth, nothing needs to be done. The difference between the two is that real Purusharth means to see and to know. And what does relative Purusharth mean? It means to have inner intent, bhav. This is what I will do. The spiritual effort you were doing as Chandubhai was an illusory Purusharth. But when you do the Purusharth as I am Shuddhatma and remain in Dada's 5 Agnyas, that is real Purusharth.
The seed of Gnan, self-knowledge, that you sowed, is that the light or Prakash?
That is the one. But it is in the form of the 2nd day of lunar fortnight, Bij. Now it will gradually become full moon, Punam. Real Purusharth begins from the moment the non-self complex, Pudgal, and the self, Purush, becomes separate. Yes, when real Purusharth following the 5 Agnyas begins, it will take one from 2nd day of the moon to full moon. That happens when one follows the Agnyas. One does not have to do anything else at all. Nothing is to be done except follow the Agnyas.
Dada, please, at least describe the Purusharth after one becomes a self, Purush. How does he do it in the worldly life interaction, that is Vyavahar?
All our Mahatmas, those who have attained self-realization through Jnanvidhi, are in worldly life interactions, are they not? They remain in the 5 Agnyas, do they not? 5 Agnyas is verily Dada. That is the real Purusharth. Following the 5 Agnyas is considered Purusharth. And what is the result of the 5 Agnyas? They help one remain in the knower-seer, Jnata-drashta state. And if one asks us, what is real Purusharth called? We will tell him, it is to remain the knower-seer. These 5 Agnyas teach you knowing, seeing, do they not? I see that whoever follows 5 Agnyas with the true heart, real Purusharth, that individual will certainly receive my grace.